Good morning once again, and welcome to the Schooner Morning Show. I'm your host, Mark Prevo, and with me today is somebody I'm very familiar with. She's from my hometown. I've known Judy for a long, long time, haven't we?
Right.
Yes, we have. This is Judy Kuhn. She's with us today from apartment 627, is that right?
Correct.
Up in the Rockport building. So Judy, tell us, where were you born?
I was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Kalamazoo?
Right, very popular this week.
Now, yes, I know that's where all the vaccines are coming from.
I grew up in Lansing.
Yeah.
My grandfather and grandmother lived in Maine. So in 1970, 69, I guess, my family, Angela and her dad and I moved to Rumford.
I never knew that.
You didn't?
No, that is amazing. I believe it or not, I've actually been to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I was there the first week that they opened an Applebee's restaurant.
Oh, really?
And we were visiting a lady there, and she was so excited to take us to this new family-style restaurant that was opening up. Of course, that was 25, 30 years ago, but that's amazing. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the country.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, tell us more. So did you go to school in that area?
I lived in Lansing until I started teaching.
Okay.
Which was in 59, I think, something like that.
But you must have you went through Lansing schools and school
I
systems,
did.
then you went away to
I went to Central Michigan University.
To get a teaching degree?
Right.
Yeah.
And my first job was in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, which is a very high-class suburb of Detroit. And I taught there for 3 years. I taught French and English, because those were my majors.
Yeah.
And the chorus director at the school found out that I played the piano. And so he invited me down to accompany the chorus when they rehearsed. Well, I enjoyed that so much that I then applied for a music job.
Oh, my.
And that was in Farmington, Michigan. I got that. I stayed there for 3 years, and I got a position at Pontiac High School as there was another choral director. It was the fellow who was at the junior high where I taught. And I stayed there until moved here in 69.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's a long time of teaching at different schools. And then, so you moved here. Had you applied before you came, or did you just say, I'm going to come and we'll do whatever?
Oh, you mean applied to teach here?
To teach here?
No.
No, you just decided to come to Maine.
Yeah.
Because the grandparents were here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Angela's father was an inhalation therapist. He still is.
An inhalation therapist?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Well, you have. It probably has another name that's more popular. And he got a job in Rumford at the hospital. So we moved to Rumford.
Right. Wow.
Bought a cottage on the pond, lived at the pond for a few years, and then we parted ways and I moved into town. And
what pond? Roxbury or Worthley Pond? Worthley Pond. Well, you're going to have to tell me exactly where, because I grew up on that pond. I have relatives there. I was just there Saturday. Doesn't have to be this minute.
Okay.
We can talk.
I mean, I know right where it is. I just trying to think of who the people were on either side, and I can't think of that right now.
Oh my, that is, it's such a small world. The things you don't realize.
It was about a mile from the store.
Okay. On the East Shore Road, or was it coming around on the north end?
East Shore.
On the East Shore Drive.
And we were right on the pond.
That is amazing. Before the jet out or after? Must have been just before, where it jets out into the Narrows.
Right.
Or would be about a mile, I think, from the pond. But we'll talk more. We'll talk more about that. I think that's great. Okay, so you get back to Maine and you're living in Rumford. And of course, we know you have a wonderful daughter, Angela, who I speak with often. And she worked for I think it was Time Warner at the time, and she was my angel.
Oh.
I mean, I would call her all the time, and she'd take care of any problems we had here at Schooner until she changed jobs. And
She still knows how to do it.
yeah,
If she were here, she would be able to fix my sound system.
well, she's so resourceful. I mean, she really has a good grasp
Right.
of things, and she's pretty sharp on the uptake. Yeah. So, so you taught in the Rumford school systems for how long?
Many.
Many years.
I started teaching, I guess I started teaching in 69, 70. I taught elementary music. It was when the old St. Athanasius Church became part of the school system, and I taught 5th grade. That's what I did the first time, all the 5th grades round. And then I went to the high school after that.
Yeah.
And taught chorus there,
And took over the Rappa production.
that started before. Yeah,
That
that
did?
started, right. I worked with Harold Dickinson. He was the dramatics director, and we were going to do a musical, and he found out that I played the piano, so I played the piano and he did the directing.
Amazing programs over the years. I remember going to many of them, but all in Rumford, Rappa was the program that brought theatrical productions
Right.
and musicals and chorus and just a variety of the arts to the stage.
Yes.
The Rumford, the new, what they call the new Rumford High School is what I remember. Yeah, which is now the old Rumford High School. They're talking about building another one, I've heard. Yeah. So it's amazing just how things all fall into place.
Mm.
Yeah. So tell us, what did you do for fun? What are your hobbies? I know you were very busy, and your fun was really your career.
My whole fun is music.
Oh, it is. It is. I can tell. I hear you playing here from time to time, and before COVID kept us kind of from gathering, Judy used to play some sing-alongs, and then special events like Veterans Day. I remember playing the tunes of all the armed forces and things like that. And now you still are playing the piano for your local church.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually play the organ too, but there's a door that's open. I have to have ventilation.
Yeah.
And it's very cold, and the door goes right onto the organ, and so I can't play the organ.
Oh boy.
It's too cold.
Yeah, and it's probably not good for the organ either to have the pipes warm and cool and warm.
No, it's electronic.
It is
Yeah,
electronic.
they've taken out the pipes, but we'll be going outside probably in April, May. We were outside all last spring and summer.
Wow. That's a great idea. I think a lot of the churches did that.
Mm.
And I don't know if you got a chance to see The Magic of Christmas on our Schooner,
I didn't.
channel
I
1390.
knew it was, and I went to it quite a few years.
Yeah,
I missed it.
it was
I planned on doing it,
spectacular.
and I missed it.
And the organ is what makes me think of that.
Oh,
We're
wow,
discussing
yes.
the organ right now, and that Kochmar organ is just beyond belief. And the way that gentleman plays it, I don't know how do you play 5 or 4 or 5 rows of keys?
Well, you can only play 2 at a time, but you could set up, it's called a rank, you could set up different sounds. So if you wanted, say, a flute sound, you could put flute, and then you play up here with your right hand and play something else.
I
with
see.
your left
So
hand.
you know ahead of time, you're playing the same keys, so to speak. It's the same keyboard, but just the sounds that come out when you hit those keys are going to be different. That's why they have so many keyboards all lined
That's
up
right.
in tiers.
3 or 4.
I never knew that. See, I learned something new today.
Well, that's good.
But I just thought this Magic of Christmas was spectacular because they were able to film it over a 3-day period, and they were able to have the entire stage to film different aspects of the
Wow.
show. So they actually had the Portland Ballet on stage doing their ballet, which, as you know, in years past, there'd never be any room for that.
Right.
But they filmed that part of it, and then the orchestra played the music for the ballet
And then they combined it.
and combined it. It really was amazing. I'm going to try to get it on the show again, probably next week, because next week is the week of Christmas. I think
Right.
Christmas is on a Friday, the 25th this year. So
Right.
that week it'll be on the calendar again. So if you miss the magic of Christmas, watch it when we put it on again. Well, Judy, isn't this easy? There's nothing to
Oh,
it.
yes.
It's just like sitting down and having a
It
conversation.
is.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would want your friends and neighbors here at Schooner to know about your passions or your interests or your hobbies or?
Well, maybe the best thing is I had the rap a chorus in Rumford for, I think, 40 years.
Because you did it even after you retired from
Oh,
teaching.
yes.
You stayed on and continued to do that, and I hate to say, I think they were stunned and lost when you finally
Well,
gave it up.
it was hard for them because there wasn't anybody else with the musical background that I had.
Right.
But they kept going until this year, and then they had to give it up.
Well,
I would have known how to handle it.
oh really?
Well, yes, I would have known where they could have practiced and how we could have done it, spread out.
Yeah, spread out and then perhaps on video.
Right.
Part of that magic of Christmas I was telling you about, because I watched it Saturday night along with you folks that watched it here at Schooner. They had the chorus that they always have,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody recorded it in their home by themselves, and then they put everybody on the
Oh,
TV
wow.
screen. So there had to be 50 people at a time on the screen, and then they bring up 4 or 5 or 6 faces so that you could see them up close.
On the Rainey's ads,
Yes,
they have that.
they do
with
that.
The high school groups.
It is amazing what you can do through Zoom.
Yes.
It is truly amazing. And speaking of that, right after our interview here with Judy, stay tuned because we have a educational program coming on about cybersecurity. Speaking of Zoom and your
God.
cell phones, your smartphones, your computers, there's a lot of hacking and cyber things going on. So stay tuned for an educational program today at 10:45 this Tuesday. Talking about that. So even though we can't meet, we are still trying to bring you some educational programs and some
Right.
opportunities to get to know people and different things like that musically. We have the Nutcracker on, I think, this Friday coming up. So stay tuned with us.
Good.
And please don't hesitate to volunteer. When I asked Judy, she said, absolutely, I'm ready whenever you are. And I knew you would be, Judy. I knew you would be. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in.
I was
It was
glad to come down. Nice to talk to you.
Painless. Same here. I learned something new today about you. That's great. And thank you all for tuning in to the Schooner Channel 1390. Watch your calendars. There's always something interesting to see on 1390 along with updates and things that we bring you as soon as we can. This has been the Schooner Morning Show. Thank you for joining in.